it's Stelios here from bushlife.ca. If you guys follow the blog, you know that I'm a writer. When it comes to trap shooting, it's just infinitely easier to explain certain ideas like lead. It's not something you can write out in a blog post. So anyways, to do trap shooting, the first thing you're going to need is a shotgun. Now with shotguns, you're going to want a 12 gauge. You can use a lighter caliber, but it's a lot harder to hit your target. So always start with a 12 gauge. The gun does not matter, okay? A typical trap gun is an over-under. And I had it explained to me from a gunsmith friend of mine that something like a side-by-side, it might shoot in from the sides, and over-under will shoot straight right onto your target. But the gun really doesn't matter. A lot of guys are going to do trap shooting to prepare for hunting, particularly for birds, because the birds, they fly in all kinds of sort of weird directions, and you want to be able to lead and shoot them. So my suggestion is take the gun that you're actually going to hunt with. So I happen to have this side-by-side. It's a really nice gun to shoot with. I also have my usual hunting rifle, which is the Beretta Semi. I brought them both out for the shoot today. The nice thing, if you get a pump or you get a semi, you've got multiple rounds. So if that disc is flying that you miss, you've got a second chance. With a pump, you can have a third, fourth, but you're going to start going through ammo pretty quickly. Now, with an older gun like this, and I'm going to show you that it's not loaded, and even so, I usually try to keep it pointed down range. With some of your older, more classic guns, you're going to have a very hard plastic cap on the buttstock. And if you start shooting this thing about 40-50 times, it's going to start to really hurt. You'll be black and blue if you're just in a t-shirt. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is recoil. Now for something like this, very simple to go get yourself one of these guys that slips onto here, and this sort of soft little rubber pad will absorb a lot of that recoil. Okay? It's a cheap, quick solution to make your gun a little bit more comfortable for you. Okay? Second thing you can do, this jacket actually has a little pocket here. It's an actual hunting, shooting jacket. It's got a little pocket here where you can insert a pad, and that helps with the recoil as well. Now, if you're shooting a semi, something like the Beretta here, it's gas operated. The other way a semi will run is inertia, and that absorbs some of the recoil. And it's also got the Beretta has the kickoff system on the back, so that really helps a lot. This is very, very, very comfortable to shoot. I could shoot this repeatedly without having any sort of pain from recoil. Now, you're going to want to get some clay targets. I absolutely love these things. I think a box of these are about $26, $27. You get 135 of them in there. I use this not just for trap shooting, I shoot them with rifles. I love to see these things blow up. You know, you hit your target. We use them all the time. I bring the kids out from time to time. They love shooting these things. They love throwing these things for me. You're going to want some clays, okay? Now, we had a trap shooting shoot set up, and there were no clays. So if you come across them, buy a few boxes, tuck them away. You know, there's the shortages from the pandemic and the supply chain and whatnot. Try to tuck some of these guys away. You're going to need ammunition for trap shooting, shooting clays, always 7.5 birdshot target load, basic ammunition. I like to get the cheapest stuff possible so I can go through it as much as I want. 2 3/4 shells. Okay. I usually just take a whole bunch of these, I throw them in my pocket. When I go up to shoot, I don't have to come back to reload. You don't need anything fancy like a belt, or you can buy a pouch if you want to. That makes things easier, but I usually just load them up right into my pocket. That is a clay thrower. These things are cheap as dirt. They'll last for many years. This is what we like to use when we throw. When you throw with one of these things, it's constantly changing. Your disc is going to go in all kinds of different directions. It's actually a little bit hard to learn initially. You can actually throw these things up. You can put the disc in upside down. You can do a different trajectory. It is a lot more difficult to guess which way the clay is going to go when you use one of these little hand throwers. Okay, next up here is safety. We always have our eyes, and we always have our ears. Now, if you don't like the fact of losing your hearing, you can get the electronic ones that actually can improve things for you. You put this on, you can hear everything. This is excellent if you're ever shooting with kids, because you can talk to them, they can still hear you. But if you look around here, we're in the bush in the middle of nowhere, okay? It is a highly unlikely event that the gun will blow up or something will go wrong. Nonetheless, it's very comforting to have this there. I can actually put this on. If that were to blow up, I can tie off my arm. I can get myself to medical help. I'm not a doctor. I don't want to be. All I need to do is buy time. Okay. Now we have an entire blog post about emergency medical right on bushlife.ca. Okay, getting back to, oh, actually, I don't want to forget this. I love this thing. That's what I'm wearing right now. In case you forget your headphones, there's this little capsule. I don't even know who makes it. I can look that up and put it in the post. There's a little capsule that you can put these earbuds in there, and you can get replacement earbuds. And when you put that on your keychain, you never forget your hearing protection. Okay, this thing is fantastic. I love it. Okay, getting back to trap shooting. We're going to grab some shells. This is what we usually do. Just normally there's a group of friends that will go out. One person's throwing, one person goes up to shoot. You typically grab as many shells as you feel like shooting for your round. Load it up into your pocket or pouch or whatever you want to use. That's ready to go. Grab your gun. I'm going to shoot the Beretta. It's unloaded, and we always keep it downrange. Okay. Now, let's walk over here. I've set up a few stationary clays. Now, anytime you do any sort of shotgunning, you want to pattern your gun. That's probably something you've heard of, but you need to set up a large sheet of paper, draw a 30-inch circle on it, set up the paper at the distance that you intend to shoot with the ammunition that you intend to shoot, and then blast it right into the middle of that circle, and you check your shot pattern. You want to make sure that there's no areas that have little holes in them. You want to check your density, and you want to make sure that most of your shot is in your circle. After you've patterned your gun, the next sort of thing you want to do is make sure that you can hit something. If you can't hit a stationary target like that, like a little disc, you've got no chance of hitting that thing when you're throwing it on a clay shoot. So we're going to load up a few rounds here. You point it down range, safety's off, you shoulder it. Good. If you run into any trouble whatsoever trap shooting, pause, try that. It's helped me fundamentally. I've come out here over and over again and shot these things until I can hit them repeatedly. Now I've got a shot at actually hitting something that's flying and moving, okay, which is a lot more difficult. Okay, so now let's talk about the different forms of trap shooting. Okay, trap is typically when there's a trap house out in front of you and the target is moving away from you. Okay, you don't have as much lateral motion. I mean, you might have, can go on an angle, but the target is moving away from you. The challenge there is that the longer it goes, it gets further away from you, and you need to calculate that. Skeet is when you're standing here and the clay is coming from that side and that side, and it's coming sideways, okay? So you need to ask yourself, why are you trap shooting? It's super fun to come out here and throw these things and have a blast and have absolute no intent to hunt with this. Now birds, as I mentioned, they fly in all kinds of different sort of pathways that they take. So if you're doing trap and you're throwing and this is going away from you, you can imagine birds that have flushed and they're flying away and you're going to try to hit them. Or they might be coming at you. When birds are coming from the side, that's similar to your skeet, where they're flying and now you need to get up on them and actually get a little bit ahead of them. So that's something I'd like to talk about in a minute. When we're trap shooting or skeet shooting, this thing is awesome, but it actually requires a little bit of skill to throw. It was frustrating in the beginning for me to learn, but you need to learn how to throw this thing. Okay? So usually you stand with your feet. Where your feet are, that's basically where your disc is going to go. You wind it back, you come out, and you snap it. So as the thrower comes, you kind of stop here and give it a little snap, and then the disc will release and fly out. Now you can do all kinds of neat things with this thing. I'll try to show you a variation. I'm going to try to throw this up high. There we go. And now it comes down. Okay, so you can actually try to trick the person that's shooting and make things more challenging for them. If you're shooting with someone that's new, it's their first time, it's a kid, you can send it nice and slow, right around eye level, makes it a lot easier for them. Okay? Especially when you're throwing from the side, then it's coming towards them, they've got a lot more time to calculate. Okay? Now, when you have this disc flying, let's talk about maybe skeet. The disc is coming from the side, you have this disc coming. Okay? The biggest difficulty with any form of trap shooting is the fact that you have ammunition and you're sending a projectile downrange, and every single ammunition, every shell will have a different speed. Okay, so you have to calculate how fast your shot is moving, you have to calculate how fast this disc is moving, and you need the two to meet at the same time. So you don't actually ever aim at the disc itself, you need to aim ahead of it. It's called lead, and this is extremely difficult to explain in writing, so that's why we're out here today. So, it's 3 different ways to lead. And technically, there's different types of shots that you can use different types of lead for, which even I don't understand. It doesn't really matter. But the 3 different ways you can lead is as the disc is coming, imagine the disc going there, and you take your shotgun, you basically mount, and then you swing. Okay? And you're coming behind the disc, you're going to catch up to the disc, you're going to get a little bit ahead of it, you pull the trigger, shoot, and follow through. You keep going with your swing. And that's how you get your proper swing. The other way is you can turn around and you get up, you mount, you keep your bead right on top of that disc, and at some point you just get slightly ahead of it, then you pull the trigger. That might be easier for some people to calculate. And then you have your third option. So that disc is coming, you try to get in front of it a little bit, and then you maintain that speed as you're going. And you're constantly in front of the disc, so when you pull the trigger, it should hit. The only way that you're ever going to get good at this is to practice. You have to practice, practice, practice. It's one of those things that the more experience you have, it just comes naturally to be able to guess all these different variables and to start hitting your targets. And for me, I can tell you this is extremely frustrating. I've been shooting my entire life at stationary things with rifles, freehand just like this. I can turn around and hit just about anything that's downrange. The moment something's flying and you're trap shooting, I've struggled with this extremely. Now it's fun, but I've struggled with it. So it's the type of thing that you got to come out over and over and over again and keep practicing, and don't give up, because you will get the hang of it. It's all muscle memory. It's all calculations that will come with experience. Okay, let's try to hit something. All right, I'm going to try to throw my own clay here. Good. Let's try one without the thrower, just by hand. I've done these before as well. That was not a good flyer, but we... Oh. Okay, so what we've been filming here is more of a trap shoot, where we're shooting discs that are flying away from us. If somebody's a beginner, this is what I suggest to start with, because the disc doesn't move as much sideways. Your lead is not as critical. It's important, but it's not as critical. After this, your next progression would be to try skeet. I can't really show you that here because it's a little bit too tight. But skeet, when it comes from the side, your lead is a lot more important. So start with the trap, then work your way up to skeet. And by skeet, you don't need to have 2 discs coming. Take a friend, okay? Have them stand off to the side. They'll throw the disc so that it comes in front of you. They're safe, just don't point the shotgun at them. And you're going to be pointing within a certain range forward, and then try your skeet. A modified version of it where there's just 1 disc from one side, okay? And as a last remark for trap shooting, the clay discs, you don't need to worry about cleanup. They disintegrate. That's why they make them out of clay and use them, but your shells won't. So please, please pick up your shells when you're in the bush. Okay? I want to show you where we are here today. It's absolutely stunning. Nobody wants to see your trash. Please pick up your shells. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. We'll have some new videos for you soon.